What is up, everyone? It is your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about hero item combos. Dota has recently changed an absurd amount of items in the 7.27 patch. I want to talk about what heroes should be buying these new items. We're going to go from Veil to Helmdom to MKB to Drums to Vlads to Orchid to Glimmer to Silver Edge to Octarine to Bloodstone to Voodoo to Meteor Hammer to Dagon to Quelling Blade to Midas, and that's where we'll end the video. So yeah, if you're excited for this video and you appreciated me saying those words really quickly, like the video to help our channel grow. Let's go for 8 million likes. Actually, 80 million likes. I think that's a better number because 8 million, I think, is shooting low. So yeah, 80 million likes. Let's get into it, and let's start with Veil. Let's talk about Veil, and let's get right into it. Also, there's another link next to the description. If you click it, you're gonna get sent somewhere on the internet. It's really cool. I post a lot of content over there. Recently, I made a video talking about BRISTLEBACK SLARK. It was a mid lane SLARK where he absolutely popped off, and I'll be doing more content like that in the future. And I also just made a video also talking about how to play the new Monkey King. If you're trying to play the new Monkey King and you feel like this hero is trashed, and now that the Echo Saber doesn't work, and I don't know why, but it doesn't work, you should go check it out on the website. I talk about the new build that Royale went. I think it's the optimal way to play the hero. I go in depth about how to just play this new Monkey King, right? What do you need to look for? How much do you farm? How much do you fight? And yeah, I'll hopefully see you guys there. Alright, so starting off with Veil, this is one of my favorite items of the patch. Personally, I think that any team that has a substantial amount of magical damage should be buying Veil in this patch, purely for the reason that it is now one of the cheapest items in the game with relatively good build-up. Veil is currently built out of Ring of Bassi, Crown, and a recipe. Now, the worst part of this item, out of its 1,525 gold cost, is the recipe. The recipe is 650 gold, which is pretty substantial, especially for support. However, it gives 4 all attributes, which is solid. It gives a passive Bassi aura, giving 1.5 mana regeneration to allies, which is 0.01 more than Ring of Bassi. How good is that? But most importantly, in a 600 blast radius, which is very huge, on a 25-second cooldown, which is very short, everyone that gets hit by it takes 18% increased damage from spells, and for anyone who doesn't know, that means pure spells. Veil used to be only magical damage, but now it also includes pure damage spells. So this item works on a hero like Timber, right? It just does. And therefore, I feel like Veil is relatively broken. However, I think it's more of a support item than a core item, because buying like a Bassi and a recipe for mediocre stats on a core can prevent you from being able to tank damage in frontline. So if you're playing a hero like JAKIRO, which is what I recommend buying it on, a hero like JAKIRO that can stay in the back and get long-range Veils off, then I think the item is somewhat broken. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I genuinely believe that. I expect pros to start buying this item very soon. Actually, I've already seen an example of them doing it. MSS, the position 4 player for Quincy Crew, if I'm not mistaken, bought it on Snapfire. It looked really good in my opinion. It works super well. So yeah, I think this item's going to be relatively broken for this patch. I expect it to become popular, and yeah, pick it up on a lot of support heroes. My recommendation is JAKIRO. Next up, we have Helm of the Dominator. This is honestly the coolest one to me. Tried it out on Viper, felt pretty good. I liked it. You definitely don't need it for farming on Viper, right? The creep doesn't help you too much. You already have Nether Toxin, but it makes you really tanky, and it gives you the auras, so I liked it. I also tried it on Drow, felt okay, but we got stomped, so it's a bit of a weird game. But nonetheless, this item is really insane on IO Core. Now, I know you're hearing me and you're saying, Speed, are you kidding me? IO Core? Sure, guys, you can just pick this item up on Spectre. I'm sure by now you know that Spectre buys Helmdom. If you haven't been watching my videos or following the meta whatsoever, if you buy Helmdom on Spectre, you don't die, you farm fast, and you hit it like a 20-minute radiance timing when you're impossible to kill. It is absurd. But on IO Core, I feel like this item is ridiculously good. You become tanky with the 6 all stats, 6 armor, 6 HP regen. You get to tether this creep that it goes at 425 movement speed, which is really fast, and that's great for IO, right? You match the movement speed with your tether, and most importantly, it gets 40 bonus damage. And if you know anything about IO, you have a level 10 talent as well that gives you damage, so you combine that talent with your creep's damage, and then you overcharge to give yourselves 140 attack speed each, and you just absolutely rip through anyone who comes close to you. Also, you farm insanely fast. Think about that. Giving the creep that already hits super hard a bunch of attack speed with your overcharge just makes you farm even faster, so you can max out your Q and your E, and you just rip through everything with this combination of spells. I think there are some spirit-based builds, but this is something that I want to put on the table. We saw IO carry come into play at TI9 with OG just running it anytime they could, stomping every single game that they did. But yeah, nonetheless, I think IO Core could be back with this new Helmdom. I find it to be very powerful. And now let's get into MKB. And my recommendation is Sniper. I think Sniper is great with MKB just because if you are from 0 to 3k MMR and you pick Sniper and you go Treads, Wraithbands, Dragonlance, Mask of Madness, MKB, you are going to pop off. Guaranteed, you are going to pop off. You could even go Mask of Madness into MKB. Personally, I'm a fan of the Dragonlance. In solo queue, it's great because people already struggle to jump you, so if, with that extra bit of cast range, you can just sit under tower. You literally sit under your tower, they can't get you, and you shoot them up. And with MKB, now giving you attack speed, you just constantly proc for 100 magical damage all the time. It's probably the best DPS item in the game right now, and therefore I think it's great on Sniper. It's also great on Dusa too. Next up we have drums, and this is one that can be bought on a lot of heroes. You can buy it on SLARK, Chug, there's a lot of good options, and I talked about this in a previous video, but personally, one oddball that I think could be great is Viper, right? So drums currently, to read out the item, is 1,475 gold, which is nothing. It gives 20 movement speed, 6 all stats, 1.5 mana regen, which is fantastic. That is absolutely insane for 1,475 gold, right? Movement speed, stats, and mana regen, that's great. And then you get one of the strongest actives in the game, in my opinion, for 6 seconds, which is a huge amount of time. 6 seconds, you get 45 attack speed, which is awesome, and then 13% movement speed, which is huge. And on a hero like Viper, you can get kited and lack attack speed. So you pick up treads, wand, wraith bands, into drums, and all of a sudden you are shredding kids. You just instantly build up 5 stacks, they start ticking out, the fight is won. So give it a shot. Next up is Vlad's, and Vlad's was recently changed to give bonus damage in an AoE. Vlad's gives AoE lifesteal and AoE bonus damage. Also, can't forget to note the AoE mana regen, but Venge is really good with Vlad's. There's no one who's gonna deny this in the Dota scene. If someone tells you that Vlad's is bad on Venge, you just give him a question mark. Because the thing about Vlad's on Venge is it synergizes with her kit, right? The buildup is great, it gives her lifesteal, mana regen, damage. It's good for Venge. But most importantly, what people don't realize is that Venge, when she dies, still gives the aura. So yes, when you die, because you have this dumb illusion thing that frankly seems like it should be removed from the game just for how obnoxious it is. I personally like it, but it is quite obnoxious. You still get the aura. Which means even if you blow up the Venge, or you blow up, let's say, an Underlord who has Vlad's, their team loses to Vlad's. But if you have a Venge, they don't. So you can frontline, you can swap people in, you don't have to care about dying, you can initiate, you just make your core infinitely tanky, and therefore I think Vlad's Venge is it's just clearly great. Next up is Orchid. Now, there's 2 candidates here. I think it's incredible on Winter Wyvern when Winter Wyvern is playing position 3 offlane and position 4, which is soft support. Anytime you're playing either of these roles on Winter Wyvern, you're going to be able to pop off with this Orchid. You're going to get it so early, you ulti someone, you take your level 10, 50 damage talent, bada bing, bada boom, infinite mana, infinite damage, you hit for like, I don't know, you literally hit for like 150, it's absurd. And then you have the Orchid ticking as well, your Arctic Burn ticking, you throw on a W with that, and anyone you clip in your ultimate, and it is the freest solo kills of all time. If you cannot solo kill people with Wyvern when you have an Orchid, I don't know what you're doing. You literally must be clicking 0 buttons. I don't know how you possibly could not kill them. Next up we have Glimmer Cape, and you can buy Glimmer Cape really on any support. It's that good, and the reason why it's that good is because the buildup is fantastic. Recently, Bracer was nerfed, at least in my opinion, for supports. I don't think having HP regen or 3 damage is too beneficial for support. You know, the HP regen, I guess it's okay, but that's probably going to come from a stick or tranquils, right? So instead, what you can do is you can buy a cloak. And with this cloak, it only costs 450 gold, which is already cheaper than Bracer, right? Bracer is 510, meaning you save 60 gold. Sure, it matters. And then on top of that, you buy the cloak, you buy a magic wand, you have 15% magic resistance as well as the survivability with wand, and they combine really well. Having effective HP with any sort of magic resistance or physical resistance is powerful. So you buy a cloak for that, a wand on top, maybe some raindrops, you become absurdly tanky, you have plenty of mana, and then you have the first item to Glimmer Cape, which is the cloak. And that's obviously good, because then you can also buy Gloves of Haste, which for certain supports could be alright. It's not incredible. I generally recommend you go for the 1,000 gold Shadow Amulet, which in my opinion is pretty strong. Like, I think Shadow Amulet is one of those items that it seems clunky, and it's one of those items that's so weird, the active fade, where if your teammate moves after you use it on them, it cancels. But the thing is, if you just tell your teammate that, hey, I'm amuleting you, or they're getting gone on and can't get away, you just pop this on them, and it's kind of like a pseudo Glimmer. It's pretty dang good. So yeah, I think Glimmer Cape is going to be the support item of the patch, and quote me on this, you guys can quote me on this next point. I also think Glimmer Cape is really good on certain offlaners, right? Reason being is having a Gloves of Haste and a Cloak early into the game is Like, that's fine. And once again, if you buy a wand on top of that, the wand is going to give you plenty of resources to sustain the lane, sustain the game. It's going to give you the effective HP you need. You buy a cloak, you buy Gloves of Haste, you're going to lane super well, you play the mid game effectively as well. And therefore, I think Glimmer is just great right now. Next up is Silver's Edge, and I easily give this to SLARK. It's really no question. SLARK right now, well, he always has liked Echo Saber. From the beginning of this item when it originally came out, SLARKs were buying it. Having strength, the ability to keep people in place so they're easy to pounce and just build up stacks overall is fantastic for SLARK. On top of that, obviously having this new Shadow Blade is great as well. Buy these two items together, you can jump any support, you're very, very tanky, and the stats overall from Silver Edge simply work on SLARK. Next up is Octarine Core. And Octarine Core, I'm gonna give it to LESHRAC. I made a video on this, so if you guys didn't see the video that I'm currently going to reference, it's the LESHRAC video where I talk about why I think this could potentially be one of the best mid laners of the patch. Not sold yet, but I think it's up there. Bloodstone and Octarine Core both got massive buffs. The item was reduced in cost. It gives magic resist now. It gives you a ton of spell lifesteal, and therefore Octarine, in my opinion, is 10 times better than what it is in the past. And therefore, if you pick it up on a LESHRAC or a Death Prophet or something of the sort, you're gonna have a lot of impact. Next up is the Bloodstone item. This Bloodstone item, I could also just say LESHRAC. It's good. It's also good on Timbersaw, in my opinion. But I want to give a bit of an oddball here, something people might not expect, and that is Death Prophet. Now, why Death Prophet? This item used to be purchased on Death Prophet in the past when, in my opinion, he was not even that good on the hero. Now, on an 85-second cooldown, you just like full heal yourself, which is great on Death Prophet, right? Like that's what Spirit Siphon's supposed to do, and now you have two of those, you're never gonna die. The only thing you sort of have to be concerned about is Spirit Vessel. But that item was hard nerfed. It is significantly worse than it was in the past. And now you could say speed, what about Shiva's Guard and Scotty's? Well, the thing is, people usually buy Shiva's and Scotty's as a third or fourth item. However, on Death Prophet, you could buy it as a first item. And so yeah, if you buy it as a first item, then you can go for the Yules afterwards, and I think the build-up is pretty decent. The only thing I would like to say is that Kaya is a bit weird alone as a first item, so generally what I'd recommend doing is really all-inning on stats. If you're gonna pick this and go for it on Death Prophet, make sure you have at least 2 nulls, a wand, and a bottle, just to make sure you can sustain yourself. Also, try to jungle up a Royal Jelly or an Arcane Ring. It's gonna help you out a ton when farming before you get to that full Bloodstone timing that, in my opinion, is going to be crazy strong on Death Prophet. Next up is the Voodoo Mask, and let's give it a Bristleback. Now, this one, you know, I'm on the fence. Is it good? Is it not? I think if you're gonna go Voodoo Mask on Bristleback, like you wanna go that cheesy route where you just turn your back and build up stacks and heal up, what you need to do is still buy other items first. Do not rush the Voodoo Mask. I still think you should go like Phase, into Soul Ring, into Wand, get that early stats, into a Vanguard, become tanky, get tanky, and then get the Voodoo Mask. Because Voodoo Mask, in my opinion, is similar to Cloak. Whenever you have something that heals you up or prevents you from taking damage, but doesn't actually give you health, it's underwhelming if you die instantly. These items are bad if you instantly die. You need actual HP, right? You need literal HP to make these items worth it. So please still buy the other items first, then consider going into the Voodoo Mask. Next up, we have the Meteor Hammer, and I'm gonna be giving something a little bit spicy here. I know a lot of people are gonna say, Speed, you're ruining my pubs with this. How could you? The thing is, I think RIKI position 4 could buy Meteor Hammer. Now, hear me out. All you're gonna do is cut creep waves. That's it. You guys might think I'm kidding, but hey, 8 all stats on RIKI with pretty good build up for cheap, and you can cut creep waves without coming out of invis, and stun people without coming out of invis. All I'm saying is, I did it in a game of Path of the Guardians, the Dota custom game. Felt pretty alright. So, no, I'm kidding, but I actually do think it's fairly legit. I think the stats are good. Is it a bit of a meme? Yeah, but it's meme hammer, so like, kind of makes sense, right? I just think that cutting waves on RIKI can be quite practical. It's a great way to shove lanes and scale and get a lot of levels. So yeah, as much of a joke as this might seem, I think the item is pretty dang strong. Next up is Dagon. They recently changed Dagon to make it more of an all-stats item. The build-up is better in my opinion. Used to be this trash Staff of Wizardry, but now you can actually buy an item like Belt of Strength, which feels better. And I recommend buying Dagon on Pugna. Being a little bit tankier on Pugna and amplifying the Dagon damage with your Decrepify is very strong. Next up, we have Quelling Blade. Now you might be like saying, Speed, oh, Quelling Blade? Who cares? Then you just buy it on like any melee hero? Yes! But you should buy it on Medusa, because it gives you 6 damage. And let's say cut down trees so you can take 2 camps at once. That is good. And finally, last but not least, we have Midas. Midas was changed from giving 185% of the experience you get from the creep to 210%. Is it insane? You know, it's okay. I think that's about what it was in the past when Midas was very popular. So, is Midas good? I think it's pretty legit. And I'm gonna recommend buying it on one of these cores where, you know, you have a pretty free game and you're just gonna sit in lane. So, right, really remember this. Buy it on a core when you know you're not really gonna focus on ganking. You don't have to put map pressure. You're gonna simply sit in your lane and you actually use the attack speed. And my 2 recommendations for this are SLARK and LIFESTEALER. These 2 heroes used to buy it in the past when it was meta, and I think if you're gonna buy it, it has to be on one of these heroes because you actually use the Glove of Haste in the laning stage. By the way, do not rush to Midas. Please buy like Treads Wand Midas, something like that, or Treads Wand Breakband Midas, and then you can actually get a lot of XP. But remember, do not take fights, split push, split farm, split up the map, get farmed, just hit a bunch of creeps, then get like 3 items, be level 18 when everyone else is level 12, and that's how you're gonna win with Midas. Please do not fight. Only plan on buying this item if you are going to stay in a side lane and split farm the entire match. But that's gonna be all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'm really excited to see how these new items play out. Also, I'm very hyped for the upcoming patch. I think, guys, am I tricking everyone? I swear I read something that, like, from Ice Frog that there was gonna be a hero changes patch. It's coming. I believe it's coming because there was none in this last patch, so it definitely makes sense. I'm pretty sure I read it somewhere, but I'm hyped for that. If you were to click the like button, comment down below that you love Speed, and I love you too. I'll try to give some of you guys hearts back. If I forget, you can DM me in Discord and saying, Speed, you didn't follow up on your promise, and I will make sure I get to that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And peace. Before you leave, just want to say a quick message. If you're trying to get better at Dota or you just enjoyed that video, I know this is pretty general, and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me. But I recommend you sign up to gameleap.com. Why? Because I put a lot of effort into the content over there, and generally the effort I do there is different from the content you're going to see here on YouTube. It is different. In fact, I usually go a lot more in depth on topics or into niche topics that help you get to the next level even faster. Because on YouTube, I often have to keep it more mainstream. And that's even why I'm putting it at the end of this YouTube video. That's why this is at the end, because a lot of people just watch 5 minutes, they skip through just for like the dopamine spike. But if you are interested in actually getting better at Dota, I recommend you go to the description down below, get your discount right now by clicking the link, sign up, use the discount code that you're gonna see there, and I hope to see you there right now. So click it, and yeah, thanks for watching.